I'm Vincent Hémery. I've been a software engineer since 2008. I have experience in software engineering companies and more recently a smaller software publisher company. And nowadays I'm working at my own individual company named Umbravi. I have expertise in technologies hosted by Eclipse Foundation, and I provide with my company expertise, custom developments and trainings. I'm a free and open source software enthusiast. I'm an Eclipse Foundation committee member and definitely not a lawyer. For software companies, the notion of risk related to open source software may be vague. Often it's related to money, to a cost. On one side, the cost of adoption of a software, the cost of do I have the competencies in my team, the cost eventually of maintenance, the functional cost if the software is not mature enough. And for more informed teams, often it's about compatibility for licenses and so on. I want to make a distinction between two different types of organizations. On one side, software companies, and on the other, open source organizations. I don't know many open source organizations, but at least I know very well the Eclipse Foundation. For open source organizations like the Eclipse Foundation, they are more thorough and they want above all to ensure that there is legal compliance and that everything is done according to the law. There are two very different scales depending on the teams. The license compliance concerns are very visible because you have some people who know about licenses. Compliance is an implicit requirement. But the reality I've often observed on training is that the situation in other teams is often very different. In training, I often have people, I ask them if they know the difference between this license and this other license. Often they don't even know the consequences of, for example, of adopting a component which is under the GPL with the transitivity of a license. So, in my humble opinion, it's an issue that should be addressed with a yearly reminder training, but this should be a yearly reminder because some people hear it and forget it right after. Open source organizations do very well at educating their contributors, but for companies, I think that there is a lot of education missing on this aspect. Definitely, the people want to have the more solid base, and also the base as solid as possible. But the quick wins often get addressed. But if there is a lot of refactoring to do, a lot of work, and the risk is very low, the priorities is competes with higher priorities, so it doesn't get addressed immediately. It stays in the backlog and may stay for a long time in the backlog. It doesn't mean it won't get addressed someday, but not immediately. Often priorities are decided based on what the customer expects. If the customer really is concerned about this, it will be addressed. But if the customer doesn't care, often it won't be a high priority. I think that customer and contractual pressure is really something that may trigger the action, because often for companies, the ultimate goal is customer satisfaction. Cryptography issues, it's treated as a security threat issue. There's always a shortcut to address it with a dedicated process, and it gets addressed almost immediately. But for legal incompatibilities are treated where what's left at the end when all other higher priorities according to the viewpoint of the customer and the team is addressed. So either you prevent these issues before they appear, either you prevent them, or they may stay for a very, very long time, or even forever. The behavior of companies is driven by actuality, by what happens in the world. We won't have a shift unless there are events related to license compliance in the news. Regulation also is a huge lever, because regulation comes with eventually some fines, and that means there's money at stake. So regulation, we have recently the the Cyber Resilience Act and NIS2 in France. And these regulations have put things in motion. So people start addressing them because there are regulations coming and they know they will face these regulations and the consequences. I think that this gap we see between the visibility of issues and the resolution, this might evolve in the future, because if we take, for example, the Cyber Resilience Act, it might be an enabler, because although it's not about addressing these kind of issues, it's about addressing vulnerabilities, but by giving the software composition, it gives formal proof that there might be issues. And that's why you need to prevent the concerns, you need to prevent violations, and that's where you need tools such as the ScanOSS API, which can check your code base and really help in these situations. Because I truly believe it, that this shift left with such API is really something that we need to ensure that we have legal, solid-based software.